Afternoon once again to all of you. Welcome to Literacy Talks. I'm Maria.
And I'm Hisam.
We will be your MCs for today.
This afternoon, we gather to celebrate the spirit of National Teachers' Day, commemorated every 25th of November. We would like to say,
Happy Teachers' Day, everyone!
Our literacy talks today focus on the theme Building Strong Readers, Shaping Future Leaders.
Or membangun budaya baca, membentuk pemimpin masa depan.
Before we proceed, we invite all participants to take a moment of silent prayer to ask for the smooth running and success of today's event. Let us pray.
Prayer concluded. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin our agenda, we kindly invite everyone to stand for our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. So everyone, please stand up. You may sit down.
It is an honor to host this dynamic forum, a collaborative between Majelis Pendidikan Katolik Keuskupan Jakarta, Faculty of Education and Language of Atma Jaya University and Periplus Education. To officially open our event, we would like to invite Mr. Bobby Budianto from MPK AJ to deliver the opening remarks. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Selamat Hari Guru. Yeah. And Mr. Edward Newborn, welcome to Indonesia. Actually, I just come here because I just get called from Periplus. I'm not preparing really the speech, but thank you for the opportunity, Mas Nugi and friends from Periplus. Well, I hope I would like to give a short sharing about literacy. We know all that our literacy is very low compared to other countries in Southeast Asia even. So we have still to push the literacy in our schools. And regarding the books, you know how powerful is books. We just have our apa? Hari Pahlawan bahasa Inggrisnya apa?
National Hero.
National Hero Celebration. As you know, maybe the book Max Havelaar, which is called by Pramudia Anandatur as a book that killed colonialism. You know, maybe that this book has has given the new consciousness in Netherlands. So the people in Netherlands changed their mind about Indonesia, and suddenly they feel guilty because the colonialism in Indonesia, only because of the book. So book is very powerful, therefore, regardless the situation of literacy in Indonesia, I think very positive thing that we should read more and teach our children to read more. But please, one another thing is that we should also read. I have to give you a warning. If you read a translated book, because I just read a translated book from Growth Mindset in Indonesia, because I want to make a seminar training for my students, and the translation is very bad. So keep reading in English, keep reading in English in the original language. I think that's all for the short remarks. Thank you for coming in Indonesia, Mr. Edward, and enjoy the afternoon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Bobby, for those inspiring words. Next, please welcome Ms. Christina Eli Indrianti Mhub from the Faculty of Education and Language of Atma Jaya University, who has graciously provided this venue for our event. The stage is yours, Ms.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you? Great. Okay, good. Everybody here comes from Jakarta, or anyone here comes from outside Jakarta? Jakarta. Oh, yeah, Jakarta, Bekasi. All right, okay. Yeah, right. Distinguished guests, dear colleagues, teachers, anyway, happy Teachers' Day for everyone here. And students, because there are some students over there, also joined this event. On behalf of Faculty of Education and Language, I'd like to welcome you all to Unika Atma Jaya. Sugeng rawuh Bapak Ibu. Yeah. It's a pleasure to have you all here in this seminar. And today we're going to learn together about what? Oh, the topic of building strong readers, shaping future leaders. Yes. And today's session is meaningful collaboration between Faculty of Education and Language and Periplus Education, of course supported by Majelis Pendidikan Katolik KAJ, Keuskupan Agung Jakarta. Thank you so much. And we are honored as well to welcome our trainer, Mr. Edward Newban. Thank you so much for being with us today, and also for your kindness sharing knowledge and experiences about literacy development. Okay, well, all participants here, we believe that we have shared shared goal for our education from this workshop, that is to empower teachers so that teachers can help or can guide students to grow and to become confident, critical and compassionate readers, right? And also we guide students to, of course, become future leaders with wisdom and integrity. So we hope that through this session we can learn more and more, so we can share to our colleagues at school and also to the students later on. We hope that through this seminar you can inspire new strategies, fresh insights, and also to renew enthusiasm in students, to support students' reading journey. So we hope that we can learn together, of course, with open mind and collaborative work. All right, so I think that's all. Let's begin our session. Let's learn together. Let's collaborative together. Thank you so much and enjoy the seminar.
Thank you, Ms. Christina, for the warm welcome. All right, next we invite Mr. Toto Subagio to deliver a warm welcome message on behalf of Periplus Education. Mr. Toto, the stage is yours, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Maria. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? Good? Not sleepy because it's 2 o'clock. Okay, happy Teachers' Day. So today we are celebrating you as educators. Thank you for having been shaping our leaders. You have shaped, you are now shaping, and you will be shaping future leaders. Congratulations. Somehow, I believe you are the heroes that still have to remind your students to bring a pencil, to read good books, right? But that's part of heroism that you have, okay? Secondly, on behalf of Periplus Education, we would like to welcome you to this Leaders Lab. This is a Leaders Lab, meaning that this is a forum for us to exchange ideas, to disagree politely with each other, but also to come up with something that hopefully can be very applicable to our context respectively. And hopefully, as soon as possible, like next Monday, for instance, what insights that you got from this, and then, I'll try this in my context. Yeah. So this is a Leaders Lab. We will share with each other. We will listen to each other. We will talk. We will discuss. We will challenge each other, but also we will find some ways, some best practices that we can learn from each other. So hopefully, even though it's in the afternoon and 2 p.m., hopefully we are not only just sitting down, relax, and nodding quietly, peacefully. No, but we try to wake up our minds and we'll challenge each other in a way. Yeah? We got insight. And thirdly, our theme, which one is the theme? Our theme today, it's not only a slogan. Building strong leaders, shaping future leaders. In fact, this is really a reminder to each of us that being a leader always starts with something very simple and very basic. And we share that one. And what's that? The ability to read well. Is that correct? Is there any leader that cannot read? Maybe. But hopefully our readers, they are really literate. Yeah. Okay. So before we begin, I would like to thank MPK KAJ, in this case, Mr. Bobby,
on behalf of MBK Gaji, but also Miss Indri from Unika Atma Jaya. It's really an honor for us to collaborate with you for this event. And also, I'm very grateful. I think we are all very grateful for Ed, that very generous being here with us today. And he would like to share not only from personal, professional point of view, because Ed was a teacher. And he was really getting in touch with schools, especially in Japan. Am I correct?
That's correct.
But also Ed would like to bring not only insights from the global perspective, but also from his personal journey, especially for his son. The son was born in Japan, or in UK?
Japan.
In Japan. And then he went to UK, but back to Japan during the pandemic, and then he brought the son and the wife also in the family to UK. And Ed will share the journey of his sons in that reading, starting from almost zero, yeah?
Yes.
Almost zero, because of no English environment in Japan. So, Ed, thank you so much for being with us, for your generosity, sharing with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Ed to begin his session.
Thank you, Mr. Toto, for your commitment to advancing literacy in Indonesia.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the highlight of our session, the keynote insight. Our speaker today is brought to us by Scholastic UK. For over 90 years, Scholastic has been the world's largest publisher and distributor of children's books, committed to the mission of helping children learn to read and, most importantly, to love reading.
We are privileged to host Mr. Edward Newborn, a highly respected trainer and speaker from Scholastic UK. He will be sharing his valuable insight on cultivating strong reading foundations and empower students to thrive.
Please prepare for a dynamic session. In this session, you are all welcome to share with each other, have fruitful discussion, engaging directly with him and fellow participants. This entire session will run until around 3:30 p.m. As mentioned, all sessions will be delivered in English to create a professional environment for learning and collaboration. So please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Edward Newborn.
Wow. Thank you very much. I'm honoured to be here today, and especially as it's Teachers' Day. It's fantastic. We've been planning this event for about a month now, since I met some of my colleagues from Periplus at Frankfurt Book Fair in October, and now it's become a reality. So thank you very much for having me here today. I'll begin with a bit of background about myself, because it becomes relevant later on when I talk about my reading experience and my experience learning languages, but also particularly when it comes to my son. And I've got some videos of him reading at different stages that I think you'll find amusing, if anything else. You'll like to see them and the progress he's made. So yes, I work for Scholastic, but don't worry, I'm not going to try to sell you anything today. I'm going to be talking to you as a former teacher, a language learner, and a parent. And I'm not saying that I have the magic answer on, reading and improving literacy, especially amongst young people, but I think I've got some ideas and we can talk and then debate them in groups later on how to get people to read. So first off, I'd like to say, could we flick to the browser, the internet browser? And yes, the butter. So I was going to ask everyone, what are you reading at the moment? But I'll show you what I'm reading first. So at home in England, I'm reading this Japanese novel by Yuzuki Asako called Butter. And it's become a big success in the UK. Obviously, it's translated into English. And Mr. Bobby said something very interesting at the beginning. My favourite author is Haruki Murakami. And I wish I had the Japanese ability to read his books in his native Japanese, but I'm just not there. It would be too much for me. So I usually read his books, have to wait 1 or 2 years until they're translated into English. But then I do wonder, am I really reading Haruki Murakami's words, or am I reading the translator's interpretation? But maybe I need to study Japanese more. But this book, Butter, it's a big book, and it's heavy in the sense that it's heavy to carry with me, and it's also heavy emotionally, it's quite heavy content. So I brought with me this book here, A Million Tiny Missiles at Once, which I think is my second slide. The reason is I saw the author talk about 2 weeks ago in London. I saw him speak, and this book is not out yet. It's published next April, so this is like an uncorrected proof. So one of the advantages of working in publishing, you get to read books early. And it was described as a catcher in the rye for the modern age. And Catcher in the Rye is one of my favourite books ever. And if we go to the second slide of the PowerPoint, yeah, there's the author. You can't see the text, but it's not important. But it's called Tiny Missiles All at Once. And I'm really, really enjoying it. It's a young boy and the family's breaking apart, but it's very emotional, but also quite funny as well. And I wanted to hear from you. What are you reading at the moment? Is anyone reading anything that's inspiring them?
Roxy in Color.
Roxy in Colour.
Right now, there is a conference in Europe.
I see.
That's a girl who have a parent, but the parents are blind. So she would like to keep the secret.
I see.
That's very good for teenage, middle school, or upper level in junior school.
I see.
It's very inspiring as well for me.
I'd like to talk to you afterwards because that sounds fantastic.
Surely.
Yeah, so I should have mentioned this book I'm holding is actually a middle grade book. So, so it's also quite easy for me as an adult to read. And that's what I'm reading right now. A little bit about myself then, because I jumped ahead, my background. So I used to teach English in Japan. First of all, I worked at a company that had a mixture of students. So sometimes I would be teaching a 2-year-old, which is a bit crazy because the 2-year-old couldn't even speak Japanese, not even learn English. I would teach businessmen, high school students, and everything in between, people who retired. And I did that for 1 year, and then I moved to teaching in Japanese schools. Most of the time it was junior high school, which is, I think, a really nice age to teach, but sometimes it will be high school as well. And all of this time I'm sort of studying Japanese as well, and teaching English, and many people would, what we call something called rote learning for vocabulary, which I think works in the short term. If you've got a test on Friday, you learn lots of words. But I do think for long-term retention, extensive reading is the best way to truly learn vocabulary that you remember it forever. So if we move on to the next slide. Okay, so I'm talking a little bit about myself, but also I'll be talking about my son, and particularly a method of reading called phonics, which has popped up. Well, I'm 51, so I was at school in the late 1970s and 1980s, and we used to read by something called the whole word approach. So we'd see a new word, and the word is cat, and you just learn it's cat, and it's pronounced cat, and then you carry on. But nowadays, phonics seems to be the way that children are taught to learn in English. So I'll tell you a bit about my personal story, my slight reservation with phonics that I'm sure you'll probably work out, and then I've got some videos of my son to show you of him reading. So my son was born in Japan, but then quickly moved back to England. So he was born in the August, and by December he was back in England. And everything was going really, really well. And then I'm sure all around the world, we've all got our personal experience. The pandemic happened and COVID. And I just knew the UK wasn't going to be safe. I knew Japan would be safer. So I sent my son and my wife back to Japan, and I wanted to join them. I had a plane ticket too, but because of what was going on in the world globally, even though I had a ticket, I wasn't allowed to go into Japan because many countries closed their borders, which is understandable because it was a new situation, no one knew how bad it was. So actually the first 6 months was okay. I was at home, I could read lots, I had lots of free time. But eventually, by talking to the embassy, Japanese embassy in London, they allowed me to enter Japan, which was very unusual, very rare. I think there was only about 6 people on my plane, and I flew to Japan, and I did 2 weeks in a quarantine hotel where I read lots more. And then I was doing my same job as I normally did remotely in Japan. But then, unfortunately, my mum became quite ill back in England. So although I'd gone through all the effort of getting a visa to Japan and this special exemption to allow me, I went back to the UK to look after my mum, and I didn't see my son for 2 years. So that was quite tough. And of course, in this time, my wife and I always had this philosophy. I speak to him in English, she speaks to him in Japanese, because we wanted him to be bilingual. But of course, I'm not there anymore. So you know what happened. His Japanese became amazing. And I would say that's still his first language to this day. His English just sort of disappeared because Skype is not the same as being there in person. But fast forward to the summer of 2022, and he came back to England. And then our school year starts in September, so it goes September to the summer. So 1st of September 2022, he went to school and couldn't speak or read a word of English. And naturally, as a parent, I was very, very worried. I thought, is he going to make friends? Is he going to get bullied? Are the teachers going to think he's stupid? All this sort of thing. Now, of course, I could understand a bit of his Japanese, and he was talking away all the time. He loves to talk. But I was very, very worried about his English ability. And at this point, the school invited all the parents one evening to come to the school and learn about phonics. because they said, we're using phonics to teach them how to read. So I went along and I was a little bit worried because I come from a teaching background and I also work for a publisher that teaches, produces education material. And there was words like decodable synthetic phonics and blending. And I think a lot of the parents there were even more confused than me. But I think sometimes the terminology they were using was quite difficult, but the actual method isn't that difficult. So, for example, I don't know what you know about phonics, but I'll just use a very quick example. In my Japan context, we would say cat, and we'd have a picture of a cat. And sometimes if it was young children, it might even say neko, which is Japanese for cat. And that's how they would learn the language. Where synthetic phonics would teach the children k, a, t. Then comes the blending, k, a, t, k, a, cat. And the books being used would have no direct picture of a cat because we want the children to decode the meaning, not, oh, that's a cat, see the picture, and then say the word. So for me, coming from an English language teaching background, it was a bit of a different take because I was thinking phonics is to do with pronunciation, and if we've got the laptop's gone again, but if we've got the, we have a look at the website with the phonetic alphabet. So it's the first tab, that's it. So when I went to Japan, I came across all these symbols, and this is to do with pronunciation in English. And it's not quite the same with phonics, but I could see a connection here of breaking up the individual sounds and putting them together to make a word. We should go back to the main presentation now. But can you see a problem with the phonetic method? I think there's one sort of big problem here. Put it in another way, when I moved to Japan, I couldn't speak or read a single word. And I went to a lesson, volunteer lesson, and everything was in Japanese, and I had a panic attack. I tried to get out the room, and these teachers held me down. They go, no, it's okay, we can teach you. Because one of the scripts in Japanese is called hiragana. And you can actually learn all of the hiragana, maybe in a couple of weeks. So I could read in Japanese, but I didn't understand what I was saying. And this, I think, is the problem with phonetic method, that students learn how to read very quickly, but they don't always know what the word means. And I think this is where people like us, teachers or future teachers, can check comprehension. And that's a big part of sort of learning to read. Saying the word is one thing, but if you understand what it means is something else. Now, just yesterday, I was looking at a website, the bookseller, please. So this is the bookseller. It's a sort of a newspaper for people who work in the publishing industry. And this is a story from yesterday, so it's very up to date. And the British government is very, very worried about children no longer reading. And why do you think children are no longer reading? Yeah, that's right, definitely. I particularly blame the phones, which my son doesn't have yet. But even for myself, it's very easy, a whole evening goes by and I've not watched the movie I meant to watch, I've not read the book I meant to read a few pages of, just hours get sucked up by phones. but other gadgets too. It could be like gaming, TV, YouTube. Reading is in competition with the modern world. And I highlighted this part here, which I'll read out. So this year it found 1 in 3 children aged 8 to 18 read in their spare time. It's 33%. I'm actually surprised it's that high. I thought it would be lower. But this is the worrying part. It's decreased 36% since 2005. Now to me, 2005 is not that long ago. It seems quite recent. But in just those 20 years, a 36% drop in children that are reading. And then the last sentence I think is relevant too. Reading continues to be less popular among boys than girls. And I don't know, do you agree with that? Is that true in here as well? Why is that? I don't know, I think we won't know the answer to that. But some of my examples later will not ignore girls, of course, but perhaps talk about how we can bring boys into reading more. Because I think it is a global thing that boys do tend to read less than girls. I know when I was young, I used to read a lot with my mum, and then in my teenage years, reading stopped for me. And then at university later on in life, I started to read more again, and particularly the last 15 years I've worked in publishing, reading lots. But yeah, less popular with girls. If we go back to the main slide, going back to my days as an English language teacher, and my first job in publishing was at Macmillan Education, which is what we call an ELT publisher, English language teaching books only. So we'd often work quite closely with the British Council. In fact, when I lived in Japan, I also taught English at the British Council. And they have got various studies. It's amazing that if you can speak and read English, on average, your wages will increase by 25%. And even in India, up to 34% of your hourly wage. And this used to make me very proud of my old job, because here I am going around the world saying, read English, read English, read English, and I'm just an English guy who doesn't really speak another language very well. But it makes a real positive difference in people's lives, the earning power that they can have when they have English. Also, the second part, improving mental and cognitive skills. Does anyone have a problem with memory anymore? I certainly do. I think it started about the time of the pandemic. My short-term memory became very bad. Critical thinking, emotional benefits, and this is the bit I really like, reduces stress, stress reduction and increased empathy. If I go to bed after using my phone, I don't really have a good night's sleep. In fact, it happened to me this morning. I arrived in Jakarta last night. I'm still a bit jet lagged. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. and I made that terrible mistake. I looked at my phone. And once I looked at my phone, I knew I wasn't going to go to sleep again. Because it's just, that light gets in your head. But if I go to bed, as I have done some days, I left the UK on Friday and I read some of my new book, I was just a bit more relaxed and I felt good about myself. And then I tend to have a good night's sleep, and then I wake up thinking, oh yeah, I read some of that book last night, instead of like, oh dear, I wasted 2 hours on my phone. So, that's enough about me. Let's have a look at my son. If we go to the next slide, please. I think it's going to be a video. It seems to have stuck. We'll be there in a moment. So we're going to watch a short video of my son when he had just been at school for a few months and he was starting to learn to read English, in English. And this is the book he was using. It's called The Job of a Vet. And it's quite a low-level phonics reader. And in the video, which was made to be sent to his grandparents, he was quite proud. But I think when you see it, you'll appreciate what I'm trying to get at. Sorry, a few technical. Yeah. Oh, here we go. So we'll see the video in a second, but essentially when he's been given this book, or he was given books like this at home, but I was using these books with him, sorry, he was given books at school, but I was using these books at home with him. And there's 52 fiction, 52 non-fiction, and one of the points I was going to say is, I don't know if it's just my son, or maybe it is boys in general, but he really took to the non-fiction books. And I think it's partly because his interests are animals and science, and he's often said, I want to be a vet when I'm older, so this is the job of a vet. I read all 104 books with him, as well as what he was doing at school. And when we see the video in a moment of him reading The Job as a Vet, you can tell that he is a basic, early learning reader, and his second language is English. But my laptop has gone a bit crazy. Okay, it looks like we're having a bit of issues with sound, so I'll just carry on talking while we're trying to work it out. But essentially, you can guess what's happening in the video. He's reading like this. The job of a vet. And you can actually, as you watch the video and hear it, you can almost see his clocks going in his brain, like the clockwork's going, and you can see his thought process is taking those individual sounds, blending them together. Yeah. So I think you have the idea there, and then when he finishes a page, he shows it to the camera because he was very proud. And to be honest, I was very proud at this point because our relationship was a bit difficult because we didn't share a common language, and I was a bit worried about sort of our development and relationship together. But then if we go on to the next page,
that day, Rat popped back fast out of sight. Mr. Fox laughed and began putting more bricks out of the wall. When he had made a biggish hole, he crept through it. Badger and the smallest fox followed him in. They found themselves in a vast down cellar. This is it.
thank you, that's great.
This is good, said Badger. The place is empty.
So I think you've got the idea. That video was recorded last week, and he came home from school with Roald Dahl's Fantastic Mr. Fox. And well, I thought several things. One, this was my favourite book when I was his age, as a young child. I absolutely loved this book. There's some disgusting descriptions of food in it, the horrible farmers, the fox outwits them, the fox gets his tail shot off. I loved this book. And I also thought, that's way too difficult for you, Ren. There's no way you're going to be able to read that. And I was wrong. He seemed to suddenly make the leap from phonics readers and picture books to a full-blown middle grade book. And I was amazed. Now, I'm not saying it's all down to me, but I truly believe that by concentrating on phonics with him, it jumped in 2 years that he can now read a book. And he's probably getting to the point where his English is about to eclipse his Japanese and become his language number one. His L1 will be English soon. And in his class of about 25, he is the second best reader, which again is something I'm blown away by. In the space of a couple of years, he's just like reading away. Wonderful. If we could jump on a couple of slides. And then the next one, yes, here, okay. So this is part of what I was telling you at the beginning. My slight reservation about phonics is that you will get the case of some children will learn to read but not understand what they're reading. And this is where we as parents and teachers can come in. So at the beginning of these phonics books happen to be scholastic, but it'll be the same from any phonics books from any publisher. There's a help your child to read at the beginning, and it will tell you what sounds are being produced. So when you've got the very low level ones, it's always s, t, m, p, I, n, d. It makes telling a story very hard when you can only learn those sounds. It's all things like tap it in or tip it out and very basic stories. But as the levels progress, more and more sounds get included and the stories can get a bit more elaborate. Of course, being in English, there's always an exception. So some words don't break down phonetically, and so you can't really see here, it's a bit blurry, but you've got is, the, and has. So these are what we call tricky words. So the parent or the teacher can bring the attention to the children of what the tricky sounds are, and they may have problems with them. But they should come across those tricky words a lot, so they go in quite quick. And then on the next, sort of the yellow box that's disappeared, it's a retell the story. Yeah, so this is the bit about comprehension. So it's all very good reading one of these phonics readers, and then old job done. You need to get them to retell you the story at the end. In their own language. We don't want them saying word for word like a memory test. We want them to use in their own sort of level of language to retell the story. And in the non-fiction part of books, it's not a story to retell, but just talk about it. Because then you can identify quite quickly have they really understood what they've read. And then it becomes a discussion about what they've read as well. So those are the major points of what I want to talk about today. Finally, I know some of you here are kindergarten teachers, some of you are English literature students and come from, so there's the mixture. So I wanted to briefly talk to you about English literature and show you what we can do to help teenagers and adults read too, because I've been very focused on young learners and phonics, but what about adults? When I was at school, we didn't really read any Shakespeare at my school. We read To Kill a Mockingbird, which was wonderful, but what you find is with all major publishers, they will all produce Sherlock Holmes, Shakespeare, and other Animal Farm by George Orwell and other classical English texts. And what they do, they're out of copyright, so you don't have to pay these dead authors any money. And they make the print really small, and they pack in the words, because then they can produce them cheaply, because they're going to be in competition with all the other publishers publishing the same titles. Even for me, as a native English speaker, I would find them very hard to read. I'd almost like need a bookmark or a ruler to separate the lines, especially as I get older and have glasses. So we have this series of books called Annotation Edition. Now the reason is, all of the pages, and you can come and have a look later on, all of the pages are double spaced, so you've got this big gap. The font used and the cream background on the page is proven to help dyslexic people read. But the reason they're called annotation editions is they have, you can probably see these big white margins down the side, and these are for note taking. Now, if you're an English literature student, that's great, because you've got space to write your notes. But for me, even if I wasn't an English literature student, I'd rather read Shakespeare in this format, because it's difficult enough to read as it is. Why read it in tiny little spider writing when you can read it in with great big wide margins, double spaced, and a clearer font? So from our sort of education material, basically from phonics to annotated editions of English literature classics, it's sort of a mixture of what I wanted to show you today. So thank you very much for listening. I believe now we're going to move into some groups of, how many was it, 6 to 8? And then in your individual groups, and I will come round to listen to some of you, I'd like you to think of strategies that how we can get people to read, particularly young students, but also any ideas on how to encourage boys to read more, or even your own reading habits, how you could read more, like making time every day to read. Thank you.
Okay, so as mentioned, let's all break up into groups and we will have some fruitful discussions between each other. So I think it's better to go, I guess, just have a discussion with the people behind you or maybe next to you. And then it was it 2 things, right? Strategies to how to read, and then the second one was how to make more boys to be interested in reading more. So yeah, into 5 until 10 person, I think that would be good. Yeah. Please turn to your friends.
Baik, Bapak dan Ibu, jadi kita bikin grup kecil aja, spontan, kiri, kanan, muka, belakang boleh. Boleh. 5, 6, 7, 8 boleh, jangan terlalu banyak. Supaya setiap orang ada kesempatan untuk berbicara, ya, berbicara. Tadi apa pertanyaannya? Bagaimana kita mempunyai habit membaca atau sebenarnya atmosfer membaca di lingkungan sekolah kita. Ya, bagaimana guru dan librarian kerjasama sehingga atmosfer love of reading itu bisa semakin ditumbuhkan. Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua memang lebih tricky. Konon cewek itu lebih senang baca daripada cowok. Bagaimana yang cowok juga lebih suka membaca. Oke, silakan. Kiri, kanan, boleh. Depan.
Ada gambarnya.
Nah, gimana nih? Banyak banget kesempatan nanti ngobrolnya kan ada. Bagi dua deh. Bagi dua. Oke, sebagian sini, sebagian sini. Sebenarnya sangat disarankan kalau bisa mix group sehingga kita saling bisa belajar dari sekolah lain gitu ya. Strategi apa sih, the best practices apa sih yang dipergunakan di sekolah tersebut sehingga kultur budaya baca bisa ditingkatkan. Ya, monggo silakan. Ini banyak banget ada kesempatan untuk ngomong nggak? Ayo, silakan. Monggo.
But I'm just going to come round now and ask a few groups about what ideas you have to get young people reading more, or maybe just in general improving literacy amongst adults too, like reading habits. So have I got any volunteers, or do I have to pick someone? Or right at the back there, so lady in the grey t-shirt, or the grey sweater.
Good afternoon. I am Aubrey from Bintaro Intercultural School, Bintaro. Just like would like to share some of the strategies we have in school that I think very effective in encouraging students to love and read more books. So what I do personally in the class, I have a storytelling sessions every week or once every 2 weeks. And it's kind of like turned into a prize as well for some of my students because they are looking forward to our storytelling sessions. At first of the school, I told them stories related to the topic we have. And then later on, as time goes by, I allow my students to storytell as well. So, for example, the best or a student who did very well in behavior, in academics, will be the one to tell the story for the week. So I allow my students to choose what story they would like to read for the week. Or sometimes I allow our students to also create their own stories. After that, the assigned student will also be asking questions to his or her classmates, which will also test the comprehension, the retention of his classmates or her classmates. I think that one really encouraged my students to, enjoy reading more, enjoy stories more, and allow them to be more creative. So I think that's one of a good strategy that we can have. Another that we have is what we are the reading challenges. Every 2 weeks we give them what we call reading challenges. It's kind of like we assign them to 5 challenges every 2 weeks. Like for example, read under a tree, or read with your brother, or read with your mother. And then they will take a picture while reading it, and then they will create like a reading log where they will write what they have read, what are the lessons they've learned, what are the new words that they got from the book that they have read. With that, the parents really appreciate and commended like the reading challenge program, because not just the students were able to, read more books, the parents are also encouraged to read with them. With that, the parents were able also to, see the kids reading at home. So I think that's also good. Maybe you can adapt in your schools. But I think those are the strategies that we have that I think, for me, very effective for the students. That a simple activity in school, like the storytelling or allowing students to read and share their own stories, are really very effective. And also, that's also become a prize because I told them if they behave, they do everything that they need to do, I will allow them to have a storytelling. If not, then no storytelling for the week. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I got two points I'd like to pick up there, which really fantastic ones. One about choice, but the fact that students get to choose the story they want to tell to the class, if it was their own or someone else's. Something I didn't really mention in my little talk about when you have the freedom of choice, then people are more inclined to read what they want to read. And what you said about challenge was great. So my son has a school logbook diary where the parent writes in what they've read. And of course it contains the school books, but it also contains non-school books. And I think a big part of my son's thinking is about challenges. So he always wants to finish that diary, write in everything that he reads, so he gets a new diary. For him, like, that's a big thing about moving on. And his local library, where we live, in the summer holiday, they had a reading challenge. So every 5 books you read, you got a sticker and you got an entry into a free draw for a book. And he really got caught up in the challenge, and he ended up reading 90 books over the summer, which I don't think he would have read 90 books if it hadn't been for the local library having a challenge, like a competition. So yes, choices and challenges. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Any more sort of strategies?
Good afternoon. My name is Afifa, and we have discussed with Miss Johanna, Miss Valen, and Miss Iman. So the strategy we can give to make the children love reading. So we have four ways. First of all, we can force someone to read. So we must to find why so they can love read or love book. We must know that if we push children to read, it will make trouble today. So the first thing we can do is we must to find what topic their interest or what topic their love. The way we can do like survey, maybe we can give a small paper, just ask, and then the second step is provide the books. After we make a little survey, we can collaborative with publisher like Periplus, so we can provide the books in school or maybe in our library. So we can buy some book with children love, like maybe if we focus boys, we can buy books like football or maybe animals. Nah, and then next step, we must promotion. We must make strategy how to the book that we also buy, not just in library, but they can membawa itu pulang. Aduh, saya deg-degan banget.
Get to bring.
Bring it to their home. Bring it to their home. So we can suggestion the book in interesting way. Maybe we can use our Instagram, or maybe TikTok, or maybe with many games or activity in library. For the example tadi yang udah disampaikan sama Miss-nya, in our library we have many activity in library like sharing book session. So if I have read the one book, I will sharing in class with my friends, and we do it every week. And many activity we can do in library. And the last one, evaluation. So if we have any program but we can evaluation, maybe the program not will do with intinya harus melakukan evaluasi secara rutin gitu. Oke, thank you. Maybe mau ditambahin, Ima?
Thank you very much. Yes, I love what you said at the beginning, that you can't force people to read. You want them to love to read of their own sort of will. And that perhaps, maybe with boys, is perhaps the problem sometimes, that they feel they have to read, so they rebel and don't want to. As a publisher, something we've noticed over the last 3-4 years is TikTok, or rather BookTok, really influences sales of books, often before they even come out. So we will send books to influencers to review them, and then leading up to publication, there's already a big positive sort of message out there. Oh, this book is great, a big buzz about it from a marketing point of view. So sometimes we say, oh, young people don't read, but BookTok and TikTok is all about young people, and so that's created great reading habits recently. Is there anyone on this side of the room? We've had 2 people from this side. Anyone on this side who wants to talk? There's a lady over here in the... Thank you.
Hello. Hello everyone, I'm Novi from Lia. Sorry. We had a discussion here, but we're not really focusing on the teachers, because we're talking about, like, that one is the young people to read. So we're talking about how we adults help them. So it's not really teachers it can be parents, can be anyone. The first thing is, I agree with you guys, your opinion, but the first thing that we had in mind was, like, look at ourselves. Do we like reading? Yeah. When was the last time we really read? Do we really have the passion to read? Because the young people, they're good to copycat, to imitate. If the adults like to read, they see us reading, they will be curious to read. And they're gonna be happy to start that. We talk about what happened to us when we were younger. That was, I don't know, how many years ago, how many kilos ago. Yeah, like back then, we saw our parents reading every day. Newspaper, magazines, books. They're happy to read. If there was a good article, they would show us and like, hey, this is good. Why don't you read this? Look at the parents nowadays, the adults nowadays, the teachers nowadays. Do we really enjoy reading? Hopefully, okay. Yeah, okay, so like one of the things that we do is like, okay, let's look at ourselves. Be a good example. We cannot force the young generation, the young people to read, especially if we don't show them a good role model, if you're not a good role model for that. And the second question is about boys. We talk about it also here, then we agree that actually boys also like to read, but depends on the topic. So boys and girls, they have different kinds of topics they like to read. I mean, boys like science more, non-fiction, adventures, stories. Yeah, okay, because like even the fiction, if it is adventures, like Star Wars, Star Trek, they're all boys things, not really girls. They love it. So look at the topic. We cannot, because like reading has nothing to do with the gender, so yeah, we're trying not to like, you know, separate, yeah, gender bias here. So yeah, that's what the result of our discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and I couldn't agree more with what your first point. Do I read enough? I don't. I was telling you about the books I read, but I still spend far too long on my phone, far too long on Facebook and internet. But if you have a good example, like a parent that reads in front of your children, I think this is a fantastic point. Thank you very much. And then the other thing that came up in some of the groups I joined is the subject. So Scholastic does some football books, and then I already sort of indicated that I think my son has a big thing for non-fiction, particularly anything about animals or science. And I don't know if that's because he's a boy or just because of his personal interests, but it's important that young people have a choice of what they want to read, boy or girl, whatever it is. So thank you. Do we have time for one more? Yeah. Is there anyone who'd like to speak at the last point? We have two hands here. Yes, here we've got a volunteer at the front.
Thank you, Mr. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In my opinion, strategy to develop interest in reading are: first, create a supportive environment. Yang pertama, second, yang kedua, make reading and enjoy activity, and yang three, yang ketiga, technical and consistent implementation. Finish. Thank you.
How about from the Atma Jaya students?
Come on.
Anybody? For the college students, do you have any questions or maybe opinions that you would like to share with all of us?
Atma Jaya students? No one?
Any students? Yes?
Oh, already?
Where is Atma Jaya student hands? Your...
I wonder where the students are. I guess they're shy.
They were noisy earlier on.
No, it's okay.
Okay, we have one here.
Oh.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's a very good opportunity to be here and to see all of these faces, very inspiring faces for me. I'm Sheena, I'm from Ipeka, and I'm the only one here today. And what I've heard from all of you guys are very inspiring, but I also want to share what we have discussed with my group today. So there are many issues in students' reading comprehension that we have encountered today. Example, reading short attention span, comprehension and memory, low comprehension and memory retention, lack of critical thinking skills. I've heard earlier that us being teachers should be role models or examples to our students, but I have experience teaching elementary level and now I'm teaching in high school. And I just want to share with you guys that it doesn't matter if the students are in high school, they still need repetition, just like what we heard from Mr. Edward earlier. They need repetition because they are absorbing all these information from reading. And what I do in high school, they usually have book reviews. And when I give them book reviews, I think I'm helping the students memory retention because I keep repeating the instruction, like annotating. They have to highlight vocabulary words to improve their vocabulary. They have to make side notes. And the best thing about this book review, which is a classic thing, by the way, it's conventional, but since we are dealing with the young generation or the new age, and they are very digital. So if we cannot beat it, let's join them. We join them. So what are the students very interested in these days? Social media. TikTok, you ask them about Instagram and they will have answers for you. So what I do is give them this output, TikTok output, but based from reading. So they will have to book review, but by the end of the week, they will create a podcast or a TikTok book trailer that makes them interested because they have this, because we tap their interest firsthand. So if they don't like reading, we tell them, okay, you don't like reading, then you do TikTok. If you don't like reading, then you do podcast because you love talking. But you have to do the book review first. And I think it is a very good practice for students, especially in high school, because we are joining them. We are, they know that we are trying to relate with their interest. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to add to that, the thing about repetition is very important. So I made my son read Fantastic Mr. Fox twice. So we went through the whole book twice. But going back to my time as an English language teacher, when you learn a new word in another language, you don't just learn it first time you hear it. You need to hear it or see it in context at least 7 times. And the only way you're really going to do that is through extensive reading. Some teachers get very frustrated because they teach their students something and then the next day or the next week they forgot it. They need to be reading to really learn vocabulary. And by reading, you're going to hit those words multiple times. Something else I used to do when I was an English teacher back in the UK was I had international groups, which was very interesting because I came from Japan where everyone was very quiet. And now I had noisy Italians and Spanish in the class. And we had a school library and I made them pick a book. They could pick whatever book they wanted. And then on Friday, as a fun activity, they would do book reviews. So this was a little bit before Instagram and before TikTok, because it was like 20 years ago. But it was basically the same idea that they might not like reading, but they do like talking. So get them talking about the book that they have read. Thank you very much for your ideas. Thank you.
Okay, we have reached the wrap-up of today's event. What an impactful and productive exchange of ideas we have witnessed. The collaborative energy in this room truly reflects your dedication to literacy. So,
before we officially close, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to all partners and speakers. To honor their valuable time and contribution, we would now like to present a token of gratitude to Mr. Edward Newborn, to Mr. Bobby Budiarto, and Miss Christina Eli Indriadi Mhum. So we invite Mr. Toto to join us to the stage to give the token of appreciation.
I would like to invite Miss Christina Eli Indriadi, Miss Ani, okay.
Mr. Ed.
And Mr. Ed should join us on the stage. And Mr. Bobby. Photographer is there. Okay.
First for Mr. Ed.
Next for Miss Ani.
lastly, for Mr. Bobby Budianto. Okay, thank you. Should we all take pictures again now? Thank you. Yes, you bring all these.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please take note of the following important announcements. Your feedback is essential, so we have scan QR here. Kindly scan the QR code displayed on the screen to complete a short evaluation of today's program.
We invite you all to scan the QR codes.
Sambil ngomong aja.
Bapak dan Ibu, sementara Anda mengisi feedback, mungkin beberapa hal ingin saya sampaikan. Tadi saya tertarik dengan diskusi yang sempat muncul, yang saya juga sempat looping, maupun yang kemudian beberapa sampaikan sebagai volunteer tadi, mengenai atmosfer, bagaimana soal modeling. Ya. Kalau kita nyuruh anak baca, tapi kita sendiri nggak baca, menurut anak saya namanya not fair. Ya. Ya. Maka modeling berarti kita sendiri memang mesti suka baca. Ya. Itu poin pertama yang rasanya perlu digarisbawahi. Yang kedua, saya tertarik juga kayaknya ada librarian dan di sini ada Miss Ani, kayaknya cuma sejak tadi saya nggak lihat. Oke. Beliau sangat aktif sebagai librarian dan kolaborasi yang bagus dengan teachers. Ya. Salah satu yang saya kenal kebetulan Miss Ani, tetapi saya rasa Miss Ani dan teachers itu kolaborasinya bagus sekali. Ya, jadi peran guru itu bukan hanya sekedar transfer knowledge atau istilahnya ya forwarder ya, apa-apa di forward gitu ya. Tapi benar-benar mengkondisikan anak untuk bisa mencintai riset misalnya. Nah, librarian itu bisa sangat membantu ya, mengakomodasi kebutuhan guru dalam hal ini. Kayaknya apa yang tadi disampaikan juga matching dengan bagian itu. Lalu yang ketiga, saya juga tertarik dengan cara-cara yang tadi disampaikan, strateginya. Bahasa anak muda itu apa sih sekarang? Ada TikTok, ada podcast, ada apa? Macam-macamnya. Nah, itu bisa menjadi pintu masuk. Ya, kalau menurut kata-kata Mas Bobi yang bijak, itu adalah kita masuk lewat pintu mereka, keluarnya lewat pintu kita. Ya, ngakalin ya namanya ya. Tapi maksudnya adalah kalau kita bisa address in the language dengan sesuatu yang mereka memang senangi, umumnya kita juga akan bisa mengarahkan mereka ke sesuatu yang sangat positif. Baik, itu 3 poin utama. Lalu keempat ini lebih lontaran karena rupanya beberapa guru itu memang senang membaca. Ya, saya tadi dibisikin Pak Yudo, bagaimana apakah ada ide dari guru-guru gitu ya? Karena tadi kok dimention misalnya, oh mungkin kerjasama dengan Periplus. Oke, Periplus memang sangat support guru-guru yang memang senang membaca, sangat support. In spite of ya, kadang kan biasanya yang dikeluhkan, aduh Periplus harganya mahal. No, sebenarnya bukan harganya yang mahal ya. Memang kualitas itu memang kadang tidak harus mahal sebenarnya. Tetapi maksud saya, barangkali ada ide gitu supaya harga untuk guru juga affordable. Apakah Anda ada usulan? Ya, misalnya grup Tarakanita, grup Notre Dame, grup Laurencia, grup Strada, grup Lia, kan ada grupnya ya? Atau grup yang lain gitu ya. Kalau Anda punya usulan supaya nanti apa ya, guru-guru yang memang mencintai baca dan encourage anak-anak untuk lebih mencintai baca, itu terakomodasi dengan baik. Betul, kami doing business tetapi tidak menutup mata bahwa kami juga ingin betul-betul memajukan apa ya, kualitas pendidikan di Indonesia. Betul. Sincere, ya. Maka kalau misalnya Anda punya ide, boleh dilontarkan langsung, boleh juga nanti disampaikan sudah ini gitu ya. Ide-ide apa yang bisa kami tampung, kami olah, siapa tahu ada program-program yang nanti bisa diadopsi, yang kemudian kalau menjadi member ini ternyata ada beberapa apa ya, special price yang affordable, more affordable oleh guru maupun oleh murid. Ya, saya rasa poin-poin itu saja. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Toto. And next, the information about your e-certificate and PDF materials from today's session will be sent to your registered email within the next few days. And finally, this is the door prize giveaway. Okay, we will give the highest gratitude for the first registrant, yeah, registrant for our.
So we have the first registrant
and first come. Okay, you may come forward.
Yes,
join us in the stage for Miss Fajarika Rahmawati
and Miss Cecilia Ayunda. Do we have them? Yes, please come forward.
Yes,
Miss.
please come forward. Join us in the stage. We would like to invite Mr. Judo for giving the
Yes. To give them up. Okay, so take picture. Thank you. And then the next one for Miss Cecilia. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. I think Miss. And then another one. We still have more books.
We have more books.
Alright, so
okay, we just keep it up and just.
Do you remember the paper number that you have? Do you have the handout numbers?
We still have about 6 or 5 books here.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay. Congratulations for number
63.
63.
Who's got 63? Okay, sir, please come up.
Okay, thank you. Next for number 163. Yes, come forward, join us,
133.
and take your book here. Okay, we call number 15. Congratulations for number 15. Come forward, number 15. Okay. Okay, next we call number 30. Come forward, please. Okay, congratulations. We still have. Okay. Number 78. Okay. Okay, congratulations. Okay, we have 3 books left here. We call number 35. 35? Okay. Okay. Number 74.
And that's the last, everyone.
That's the last number.
Number 74. Okay. Here you go, miss.
Oh. So this is the last.
Okay, sorry.
This is the last. This is not for the prize. I'm sorry. This is the one who left the tumbler in the front of the office. You can come to the front table. Okay. Yeah, you can take it in front of the table. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So that's it for the door prize today.
Yes, that's all for today, everyone.
Okay.
So with that, we officially conclude the Leaders Lab.
Okay. Thank you all for your active participation and commitment to our shared mission.
So after this, we would like to take picture together. We need all the participants to stay at their place and let the photographer take the picture from the stage.
Okay.
Okay, Ed, would you like to join us over here? Let's all take a picture together.
Okay. Maybe in the last maybe 5 or 10 rows in the
Ya, yang di
last
belakang
seat,
bisa berdiri aja, biar bisa
10
terlihat.
rows ya. Sebelum mungkin yang belakang boleh berdiri untuk kita berfoto bersama agar semuanya terlihat. Boleh berdiri dulu sebentar setelah ini. Okay, maybe in the right side, please stand up. Yang belakang. Okay, we good? We good to go? Photographer?
Mr. Photographer, good? Is that good? Okay. Should we count down? 1, 2, 3, say cheese!
Cheese!
Again?
Okay.
That's very old fashioned, no?
Okay.
Again, 1, 2, 3, cheese! Again?
Okay, once again, photographer asks for once again. Okay, next. Pose maybe what?
Yuk, ganti gaya.
Now.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Alright. Okay, thank you everyone. So, we wish you a safe journey home. Thank you and have a wonderful
afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, balik. Oke. Kapan-kapan ngobrol. Ya. Sudah bisa dikerjakan. Ya. Halo Pak. Halo si Adan. Ada ini berdua kami. Oh, bajunya seragam ya.